I'm spitting hymns, synonyms, open gyms, never miss the rim. These pockets fat, but moving like they slim. I got a big heart, little Tim. You have to understand I'm him, the boy is him. Yeah, the boy is him. I ain't traffic, way I'm moving, pushing whips just like a pimp, rock and roll life. Even bands cannot make me flip. I'm sticking to the script as I'm trying.
All right. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate your time today.
Of course.
I start every show the same. So I'm going to open with the same question I ask everybody. Who are you?
Who am I? It's a simple question, but it feels a little, I guess, overwhelming. What should I say? Like, what part of myself do I want to share? I guess I would say I'm a child of God, who I am. I was born in Iran. My family and I moved here in 1978. And I feel that I guess who I am is love. I want to be able to give love more of the time and hopefully receive some back. That's who I would say I am.
And what's your name?
Shari.
Awesome. I'm so happy to have you today.
Thank
I
you.
want to jump right in and talk about some ins and outs of your writing style in comedy, because I find it fascinating to see just the different levels of how people get creative. And I was just curious what that looks like for you.
I think my writing style has changed since before, because I used to do stand up years ago and I went back and forth, back and forth. And the reason I initially got out of stand up was because I felt like it wasn't healthy for me.
Mhm.
And so I would rather work on my health and my, mental state than do stand up. And over the years, I've gotten healthier and healthier. So, and I feel because my mind and my brain is a little bit more open than what it used to be, material comes to me a lot easier. So wherever I go, whatever I see, I just kind of see the funny
Okay.
point of it. So that's more observational. And then I've done a lot of like comparisons and stuff between Middle East and America with like dating, with men, with,
Yeah.
women and whatnot. And that's a huge premise for me. And what else? That's pretty much it. And also then dating is definitely a realm I've dealt with. When an idea comes to me, it leaves my brain just as fast as it comes to
Oh
me.
yeah. So you got to get it down.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I have my little notebook that I jotted down, put the date, and then when I have time to actually write, then I get my computer out and just start expanding.
That's
That's it.
awesome. Yeah, I have this bizarre thing that I've done, and it's a horrible habit from music, where it's like I'll be at work, and I used to work at an ice rink, so frequently I used to drive like the Zamboni, like on the ice, and
Okay,
I'd have earbuds in or whatever, and I'm just driving, and I could just hear the nrr of the machine, and then randomly I get like a concept of like a bar that rhymed or something like that, and I'm like, okay, I got to write that down. And what I'll do is I'll go through the week of all the stuff that I've written and try to either combine multiple bars into one song, or I'll just expand the song to fit. Like I'll build a song around a bar. I'm like, this line is so clever. I want to make the entire song fit this in and make it make sense to the theme of the song. So I'm like, okay, now I got to write a song about this because this talks about this specifically in this way. And then I do that. So I try to kind of do the same thing in comedy. I'll come up with like a concept that's funny. And I'm like, okay, this is like a one-liner that's funny. And now I can make it like a story joke where I explain something about this to lead to this one-liner that kind of builds off that. And then I do it on stage a couple times. And I'm like, okay, someone gave me this piece of advice. Let me try it in this lens. And I'm like, okay, let me try it in this thought process. And then all of a sudden, like before I know it, I have a 5-minute bit. But I don't write adding on to it. I just like memorize it as I'm continuously adding. So it's like I'll write the concept of the bit. Like my favorite joke for my Kill Tony set that I'm going to do is called the black ice joke. And it's literally like ice being black, not like black people in ice. And like the whole joke, I literally wrote that in my notes. Like if you see on my notes, it just says black ice joke, but it's a memorized, choreographed 5-minute bit. So it's like, so I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to figure out a way to get more disciplined with sitting and writing comedy because it's not the same as music.
Right, right. As we met during the Kill Tony, the wait out period. I go there pretty much every Monday night.
Mhm.
So what I do in order for me to use my time wisely, it's a good, chunk of time, 6 hours easily. And I take my computer and I have my notebook, and oftentimes I use that chunk of time as a time to expand my bits.
Mm.
And to me, everything that's going on is like almost white noise for me. As long as people are not talking in my ear, then I can focus and do my writing.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah,
I have a different problem because I use Kill Tony's hours to meet people for the show.
sure.
So it's like if I have a big lineup of people that are already lined up, that would be a really good use of my time. Like
Yes.
genuinely. Because I have some times where it's like I have 6 people already lined up 2 weeks in advance, and I'm looking at my calendar and I'm like, oh, they're coming in Tuesday. They're coming in. I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm already. I didn't even tell you this, but I'm probably booked 9 weeks in advance in terms of episodes that are already ready to go. So it's like obviously like in order of which I make the episode. Like I don't move people around. Like there's no strategy. I just make it, and I'm just like, yep, you'll be out after this person's episode comes out. And I get most of the editing done pretty fast. It's not even an editing problem. It's just like a workload problem. Like it's just I know eventually I'm gonna have a week where I'm working too much and I don't have time to get an interview in. So I'd much rather be like, all right, I've got 9 in the vault. I spin this one out this week. It'll be
Right.
good. And eventually I want to be to a spot where I can get a sponsorship and then I can post 2 per week instead of 1.
Sure.
But I think that's actually really smart. Most people don't do that. Most people either get drunk or like, do some dumb shit in between or like go mess with some people or play poker or something. Like that's a really solid use of time.
Right, right. And I think the socializing and getting to know comics and stuff is important.
Yeah.
So now what I have started doing is that I do a little bit of writing. I go over my minute. Every 15 minutes or so, I do that once just to make sure I'm focused. And then I do walk around a little bit and see who I know. If someone smiles or they recognize me, then I will, talk to them just so I can get to know comics, more
Yeah.
comics.
So you've been on the show before. Have you been on more than once?
Yeah, I was on there. It started April of 2024. That was my first.
Yeah.
And so I've been on 6 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you had pretty much all good experiences or?
Pretty much all good experiences except the one before this last one, which was a few weeks ago. I did a character, Sheikh Ahmed. I have the photo. I'll show you at some point. And so that one I just took out too early. Tony said that my minute was not strong, and he kind of emphasized it. He was like, "Well, you're a funny lady. You don't need to do this. You can just focus
Be
on your
you."
comedy."
Yeah.
Because my style of writing, for whatever reason, the direction that it goes, they all become bits. They become situational.
Okay.
So all of these different characters are born. Or even if you see someone in the street, like a homeless person, and they do something and you bring that into your act, you have to act it out. You have to say, well, this is what he did and this is how
Yeah.
he talked.
Yeah.
So I always have a lot of characters that I do on stage as part of my stand-up. And I think at this time, I'm just going to stick with the characters within my stand-up rather than bring them on their own on stage and dress up as that character, because it really does take a lot of time.
That makes sense. I had a thought. I was wondering if you agree. I feel like one thing I've noticed just watching some of the bits, even that you had on your Instagram, or even though before I met you, I had seen your comedy just randomly watching the show. I feel like in general in comedy, there's this art of like expectation management. And A, there's not a lot of female comedians, and B, there's not a lot of young women comedians like you. So I feel like sometimes there's an expectation. It's like when you get people that you wouldn't expect. It's like when a little kid does comedy, even if he's not got the highest skill of writing. There's like such a lower expectation sometimes that like it's like you get to create this big gap for like what is acceptable versus like when you do like a mic and there's like a large audience of comics, people almost don't want to laugh. Like it's like they don't want to like they're like pricks. Like they don't want to like get one over on somebody else. And it's like the expectation hole of like where the laughter can be is so small because they're all there for the same reason as you. They're waiting to get their opportunity.
Right.
Versus when it's the opposite and everybody's there to have a good time and laugh. There's so much more freedom with your room for error, like your crowd work can save you in those moments because you can make the crowd laugh versus these people there's already a predisposition of like, oh, they've either seen your stuff or this or that. They don't like you. They do like you. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, there is definitely a mixture of that. My experience has been, and this is only for one mic. There's a tag mic that Alden Schwab runs on Sunday afternoons at Sunset Strip and on Wednesday evenings at Lucky Duck. And so you get your turn, you do 5 minutes of hopefully new material, and other comics in Alden write tags for you. And that's one place I would say that my experience has been that everybody knows me, all the comics. So they do tend to be supportive of you when you go up on stage. And like, if your stuff is funny, they'll laugh and be able to actually write
Yeah.
for you. But in other places, I think most of the time it is true. They're just waiting their turn to get up.
Yeah.
But if a new joke actually hits, they do tend to laugh because even though they're not listening, they are still listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though they're focusing on their own stuff, they do,
Well, I
respond.
guess the question I'd be asking you is then like, do you think that there's a almost an imbalance between people that like you and support you to people that are actually honest with you? Like, because there's people that are like not listening, so they like don't care if your set was good or not, so they don't really say shit. And then there's people that like you, so no matter what, they're kind of just going to be like, "Oh, great set," you know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like we were talking about earlier, like people don't bat 1,000. Like it's
Right.
like I want to know what I could work on, even if I don't agree. Like, tell me, like, give me your,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like,
Right. And I guess with that being said, it's kind of hard to get it from comics, a real feedback, because the other point I was going to make about the tag mic at Mothership, I'm sorry, not Mothership, but Sunset Strip, is that they know you, they know me so well, like I would do this character or do this whatever new joke, and they're laughing. And I'm thinking, wow, I've hit, like a gold mine, but it's because they're being supportive and what I'm saying is genuinely funny to them.
yeah,
And then I take those bits to like real open mics with real audiences, and I get nothing. And I'm like, it's a complete opposite. So I realized that for a lot of stuff, in order for me to get real proper feedback, I have to take a chance and do way new material in front of real audience rather than at open mics. I'll still do them at open mics, but it's not real feedback.
yeah.
That's been my experience.
Yeah,
Mhm.
do you have a favorite experience you had on Kill Tony?
I mean, the first time I was on there, it was fun because they were getting to know me, and then they brought me back based on what I said about the kind of men I like. I think now the whole world knows I like tall, white, younger men. So the next guy, and of course, it would be icing on the cake if he was a vegan, you know. And so the next guy was a tall, white, younger man, and he is from Brazil. And Tony said, "Oh, why don't you just lie and say you're a vegan?" And then they brought me back, and they said, "We'll marry you," because he needed a green card. So that was kind of cool. And there was actually like a pastor of that category in the audience, and he came on stage, and he married us. It was funny. So that was really fun. That was something different. And up to that point, that show was like the most fun. People said like it was like the most fun in all
Yeah.
the 10 years. And then the next one that I had a lot of fun on was the one last July with Rob Schneider, I
Hmm.
think. Yeah, Rob Schneider and Donnell. I forget his last name. That one was
Donnell Rawlings.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Donnell Rollin, and that was a really fun show. Had a lot of fun with that.
Do you have anybody that you like really would like to see on the panel, like if either to watch or to do comedy in front of?
Um, Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
Of
Rogan.
course,
Yeah,
yeah.
Rogan's a killer.
Like to get into that club.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I really want to see Joey Diaz, and he's never done it before.
Oh,
Like I
really?
want to see that him and Joe are good friends, but for whatever reason, he's never. I don't know if he doesn't like the fact that it's kind of all live, or I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to like shit on someone or what it is. But I would love to see him go on one of his famous rants, like about someone, like yo cocksucker, like, like I feel like that shit will be absolutely iconic.
Right.
But personally, I feel like it'd be cool to see like like athletes do it too. Like I feel like it'd be
Sure.
like, I think it'd be cool to get like MLB or like NHL players on there, like just to have a completely different side of the world. Like I thought it was pretty cool when they had MMA fighter on there. They had Sean O'Malley. Like I thought that was pretty dope because
Right,
like
right.
they're not comics, so they're not like always making jokes the whole time. But like
Right.
their punches are so much better because you're not expecting it.
Mhm.
Like Ric Flair had the worst episode ever, and it was because he was so drunk that he didn't understand the concept of Kill Tony as like they make fun of the comics. So he
Right.
was like, "It's so mean. These people are chasing their dreams," and he's like, "You can't punch down on these people." And
Oh
he just
my
like he literally walked off the show like during the show,
wow.
and like watching that back, you're like, "Bro, you were a WWE wrestler. Like you literally talk shit for a living. Like how is it that that was a problem for you?" And it was like I don't know. He was just so drunk, and he was just like I don't know, like so crazy. But that's such an iconic moment. I'm sure that was a nightmare for Tony. I'm sure Tony was like, "Bro, like." Why are you leaving? But at the same time, like the clips from that, like I guarantee you got millions of views because
Right.
who would expect that? You know, it's so crazy. And I feel like overall, KT's been a good thing for comedy.
Mhm.
But for whatever reason, a lot of people just hate change. People are always stuck in their
Sure.
ways. Especially people that are comics from before Kill Tony was big. They're like,
Mhm.
oh, it's lost the art because now everybody's just trying to cash in their golden ticket on Kill Tony.
Well, I think the ones that do get the golden ticket definitely deserve it
For the most part, yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah.
And if it helps their career, and if you don't think that's like a legitimate way to get there, then you can do other paths. Like I
Yeah.
think there are many paths to wherever we go. I mean, look at religion. There are like many paths that people take, and they still get to their final destination. This is the same way if you genuinely don't like it, and I know people who don't, and they don't sign up for it.
True.
So
I think part of the problem is the show has kind of lost a little credibility in terms of talent to golden ticket ratio, and now it's timing to golden ticket ratio. Like it's like Tony's like shit. I got 7 shows where I have nobody filled in for my regulars because my regulars are all on SNL now. So it's like they're not like so he's kind of filling holes rather than like yo this dude's incredibly talented and he's living and breathing comedy. So he's kind of recently been giving out golden tickets a lot easier because he just needs people. So there's all these people that have been going in for years and haven't gotten the opportunity of getting a golden ticket. And they're like, dude, like, what does this guy have that I don't? But really, it was just Cam Patterson left the show. And they're like, shit, we need a replacement.
mhm.
So I don't know. That's the only thing I think is negative. Like, it's like hard to give. Like, there's no way you could be like, you know what, bro? You on the waiting list to get a golden ticket. Like, they need to have some sort of like intermission of like,
Right.
you know?
Right.
like I don't know, they need to figure out a way to like a winning like a maybe like a big joke book bucket. Like if you've gotten a big joke book, you could like have a higher chance of maybe like one butt pull per show is just
Right,
from the
right.
big joke book bucket. You know?
Yeah, and also I think someone mentioned it, and someone interviewed me like outside of the when we were across the street, waiting for Kill Tony. That it would be really nice to have a different bucket for women than
Mm.
for the men, and this way, at least 1, 2, however many he decides, at least we know there's that ratio that's
Yeah.
being.
They did that. They do that at their big shows. Like when they do the shows outside Austin, when they did like stadiums. I know they used to do that. Or maybe they didn't actually, but like they purposely picked out a woman every time.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So I have a conspiracy theory about how Kill Tony's run. I think if there's 8 bucket pulls, 5 of them are completely random. But I think one of them is like there's a favor behind the scenes of like they know this guy wants like is going to be in attendance. He's never there. He's going to be on. And I think there's 2 that like the people that help run the show kind of are like monitoring and they're like this guy is ready. Like, let's get him, because at the end of the day, it's an entertainment business. If you get 5 randoms that all suck in a row, you need to balance the show and have it have good parts that are guaranteed. The worst thing you could have is back-to-back episodes where 8 people get pulled and all of them are 1 month in comedians that suck. And then the show loses so much. Even if you roast them, you can only make roast content for so long before people lose interest.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I can't agree or disagree because I
Yeah.
really don't
Yeah,
know.
that's just what my theory
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it's just like, even going to open mics and being the way I am with the networking for the podcast, I see shit. Like, I see how people carry themselves. And I'm like, okay, like, let's be for real. Like, these people are all behind the scenes that are getting pulled. And I'm like, it's like once or twice every episode that everybody's freaking out hype because they know the guy that got pulled. And I'm like, like, I'm like, interesting. Like, I'm like, this guy signed up 200 times and not got pulled once, but this guy's been on 3 episodes in 5 weeks. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to be like, I don't, it's not a negative thing. I'm not like, fuck that guy, but it's like, there's definitely some sort of there's some sort of non-randomness is what I'm saying.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
But there's definitely randomness too.
sure, definitely, definitely. What's the point of all of it?
Yeah.
Because I actually spoke with a friend of mine, I don't know, over a year ago, and he was starting to take comedy really seriously. And when he first started, he was one of those that was just showing up. And he got picked, and he didn't do well. He said, why would it not be random? Because he got picked again the following week, and he didn't do well. And so he's like, if it wasn't random, I would never get picked again.
Absolutely.
It's
like I'm saying, there's definitely a couple that are random. I'm just saying there's definitely at least one every episode that's like, this guy's going tonight, And sometimes Tony has even admitted it. Like, Tony's been like, yo, like, I lost a poker hand to this guy, so I let him get a minute. He's literally said it. Like,
wow. Okay.
So it's like,
so
like he had Doug Polk on the panel. He's a famous poker player. And he literally gave him a minute. And most of the time, people that are on the panel don't get to do comedy.
Right.
So he was like, I beat him in poker, and he was already supposed to be on the panel. And I was like, if you beat me in poker, you get to get a minute on the show. And I think he even opened, or like he was like the second person or something. So I'm like, okay, like, obviously that's sometimes going to happen. Like, it's like, at the end of the day, he's a person. It's his show. Sometimes he's just gonna be like, shit, let's just try some new shit. Let's do this or that. And I don't actually think that's a bad thing. I think at the end of the day, they're trying to run their show. Like, I think it's funny. Like, just last week, I had 2 of my friends get pulled, and they both bombed. And I was talking to them about it. I was like, why do y'all think you bombed? And I was kind of not trying to be that guy, but I was like, bro, if y'all went with me to open mics and all the time, y'all would have had shit to say. And I was like, that's literally what happened. They always would find an excuse not to go to open mics with me. And then they got on and they were like, damn, I didn't even get a joke book. And I'm like, why do you think that is? I'm not trying to be an asshole, but
I don't even know why, when people are not ready, go to that. They think it's just like another day in the splendor, and it's not.
Yeah.
There's so much adrenaline that builds because there's so much hype around it.
Yeah.
And then when there is a show that's already at such a high level of happening frequency, and you walk into complete like chaos that you can't see because everybody's like vibrating like this, and you just have to step
and
into
you're
it
hype.
and step up.
Yeah.
And every time I've gotten picked, like my energy just spikes up like crazy. But I've been lucky enough that by the time I get there, the previous comic, they're still interviewing, they're staying ahead of the game. And I have about, 5 to 10 minutes to calm down.
Yeah, you get that.
Yeah. But still, when you go, you got to be at your
It's another thing. It's
high,
like,
drunk.
Yeah. I was just going to say, there's another thing with that. It's like, when you are sitting there for 3 to 6 hours, sometimes there's nothing better to do than to drink, smoke, eat some mushrooms, whatever you're doing. We're talking about Kill Tony appearances and balance of how much work people put in, stuff like that.
Right.
I think as much as it's true that the more work you put in, the higher of a chance you have of being great, there's also some of those people that just have a glaringly amazing personality. And they just get that pop immediately because the Kill Tony universe is so on the edge of their seat, so like ready to react. Like, bro, my friend said retarded on Kill Tony, and he got a crowd pop. Like, You know what I mean? Like he didn't even say a joke. He literally just said the word retarded, and people were like, you know,
Right, right. You have to win them over first,
yeah,
and then, and even like I think on my third appearance, I did a bit. It was just a bit, no one-liners or anything, and it was about men's climax. You
okay,
know, and generally, I mean, that joke is like from the olden days, and it's really funny. I've always gotten laughs on it. That night, there were two things that didn't like work for me. First of all, it was the panel of Adam Ray as Biden
okay.
and Shane Gillis as President Trump.
You were on that episode.
Yeah,
That's
that was the first time
that's awesome.
that they brought those two. It was right after President Trump had been shot.
Okay,
So they wanted to bring that because they knew it would be entertaining. And so those two were the spotlight of that episode. So no comic did well. So I had that going for me or against me. And also, maybe in a way, I feel like it wasn't time for me to feel entitled to talk about certain things that I wasn't, I should have played it a little bit more safe than just go out there and say, bleh,
yeah,
So I think we should, the word that you use, I don't even want to use it. It's kind of like you gotta, work your way in first.
Yeah.
Be liked before you're able to
Say
not
anything.
everybody can say whatever they
yeah.
want to say.
Well, it's like the joke that I wrote, the black ice joke. It's kind of a racist joke, like it is, but it's more just like a funny depiction of truth. Like it's like, you know what I mean? Like I just kind of exaggerate the truth in a funny way. And I was learning from this guy that I just did an interview with named Fedwan. He was talking about how like you need to like you're saying, win the crowd over with something early. So I come up on stage and I'm like, I'm one of those guys that just loves making observations, but like racism. And then I go into the joke because it's just like, okay, what the hell is this kid gonna say now? You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, well now they're expecting something wild, but even if it's not that crazy, it's more of like a balance to that, and it's not as like, insane. I feel like. Plus, it feels like I'm more structured, like when I tell the joke.
Right. You know what you're stepping into rather than, I didn't think it was going to get that kind of reaction.
Yeah.
But, just knowing what you're doing.
Exactly. And then it's kind of also like it's like you're putting a feeler out into the room. Like, did people boo when you said that? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I saw a quote the other day and I wrote it down because immediately I was like, damn, that shit hit. And it said, I don't mind being booed because I've seen what you people cheer for. And I was like, man, that is so good.
Yeah.
And I really resonate with that because that's been how I've moved my whole life. Like I was like, bro, I've always been a big personality person and I've always not been afraid to say what I want to say. So like, don't you think with that, I'm always going to have a polarizing discourse? I'm always going to have some people that hate me. And because I'm so comfortable with that, I don't fear failure. Like, it's like, okay, so what? Like, there's nothing you could say to me that I haven't said 3 inches from the mirror to myself.
Right. Yeah, I think to that note, I don't know who the poet was, but I think it was someone like from Iran or Persia. I don't think it was Rumi. Maybe it was. I don't know. But it's just something that when I did everything that I could and I still wasn't liked, my sister always say, well, so-and-so said you can please some people all the time and some people not all the time. And then you can never please everyone all the time. Like
Facts.
There's just like that mixture that you just can't get to everyone all the time. And so it goes back to you staying true and on course with your truth, because no matter what you do, there are going to be people who are displeased. So you got to stay on course what you believe.
Yeah, there's a Bible verse that says, I would rather be slapped with the truth than kissed with a lie. It's kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
And I really feel that way. And I feel like it's so important in every industry, but especially in comedy, to carry yourself authentically you. Because everybody's already taken. That's the first thing. no one else has the ability to be you authentically.
Right.
That's the first thing.
Right.
The second thing is a lack of authenticity can change the derivative of the timeline you live, right? If you're not completely yourself, you're going to attract a different kind of person than you would normally attract, both in relationships, but also platonically.
Mhm.
Because when you're fake and you're not being who you really are, you're going to become friends with people that are drawn to that guy,
Sure.
not who you actually are.
Mhm.
And the reason I feel like I have such genuine friendships and I have such an easy time making connection with people is because I don't care about being hated.
Mhm.
Because why would I want to be loved for who I'm not? Hate me for who I am, but don't
Right.
love me for who I'm not.
Right, right, right. Yeah, going back to authenticity, in my spiritual realm or world, they always say that's like the highest frequency of who you can be. And also in my acting days, they always said just be yourself because you don't know what they want. So if you change yourself to just please them and it doesn't hit the mark, then you'll never know. So
Okay.
just be yourself, and eventually somebody's going to want you for who you are than
Yeah,
who you're trying to be.
absolutely. Can you talk about that a little bit? How long did you act for?
I was in LA since from '97 to 2022,
Okay.
and when I first and I went to New York '93 to '95 to study acting, and then I moved to LA. Most of my years, especially initially, ended up dedicating to stand up comedy.
Okay.
But I was saying I'm an actor, and of course I auditioned and stuff. And I didn't have a lot of success with the acting for a lot of years, just because I didn't believe in myself. I have no one else to blame. And then coming closer to 2016, 17, and all those years, as I got older, I ended up being in the category of the mother of the ingenues.
Mm,
And that brought in a little bit of, roles here and there. And then once the pandemic happened, that kind of got shut down
yeah.
again.
Did you ever have like a favorite role that you got to play?
They were all small roles, so it
Okay.
wasn't
So
anything that
nothing
was
super
like,
cool.
yeah, life shattering.
I mean, even if it's something that it was in a smaller production, I mean, something cool that you just enjoyed doing.
Mm, nothing that really stands
Okay, I
out.
was just curious.
Yeah.
I never got to play at any main roles, but I was in the choir for when we did a Christmas Carol, yeah, in middle school or high school, something like that. And getting to watch some of the kids like do like the musical part of it was absolutely hilarious. Bro, it was insane. Like some of the people really dove full all the way in with their passion into it. It's so cool to see because I have so much admiration for that, and I have so much admiration for people that can draw because those are two things that like I feel like even if I gave all my effort to, I wouldn't be great at it.
Mhm.
And like the way I carry myself, I feel like most things if I put effort into, I could become great at it. So I'm like, that's just my confidence. Like I'm just like,
Right.
I'm gonna figure it out.
Sure.
But like there's no way, no matter how much effort I put in, I'm gonna get great at drawing. Like it's so bad. Like there's no way. So I'm always like perplexed when I see
Mhm.
something that's like even like above average.
Right, right, right.
So I don't know. That's
Yeah.
something that's hard to find too because people don't often market that. Like if you could
Mhm.
sing, people market it. They show a video of them singing.
Right.
If you can act, you could be in a movie, you could be in a play. If you can, what I mean, there's
Yeah,
videos
yeah.
of it. If you, whatever it is that your niche
Mhm.
is, typically it's pretty easy to just be like, that's what they do. But
Right.
I feel like people that draw tend to be quiet. So they don't want to be seen often. Like it's
Right.
like there's like something that's aligned with that and just like
Yeah.
consistencies.
It's a certain kind of personality that's drawn to drawing.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
sit there
Yeah.
like this all day,
Mhm.
versus doing this.
Sure, sure,
So
sure.
I don't know. I have a lot of respect for that. I think when I was young, I used to want to be like, it's funny because I wanted to be like a comic strip writer. Like I used to do stuff like that. I was very intrigued by like drawing like stupid like ninjas. Like I
Mm.
swear I said ninja. No, I'm just kidding. But I really I really liked being able to draw like stupid shit and just fill in bubbles of like content ideas.
Oh, okay, like cartoon.
Yeah. And like even if it was like just literal box strips, like one joke,
Mm.
one joke, one joke, and it was like 6 parts that was like a
Interesting.
little story. And it's interesting, like when I was like a little kid and I was in like middle school, elementary school,
Mhm.
more elementary school. So when they ask you like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And like, you'd have to like draw or like whatever, like what that would look like. I always said I wanted to be a singer, and I've never been capable of singing, but I always have enjoyed having a microphone present. It's always been something that's about me. Like I love writing music. I love writing comedy. I love being on stage. So it's kind of crazy that like a 8-year-old me knew that that's what I'd want to do. And like, I feel like there was always that present. So I was wondering, when in your life did you kind of realize like, okay, like comedy is like a big thing, big part of me that's more than just like a hobby or niche, you know?
Right. I think right from the beginning, because after I finished acting school, I moved from New York to LA, and I started pursuing, trying to get an agent and do all of that stuff. And I realized that I like comedy more than drama.
Mm,
And so I took some improv classes, and the improvs were not hitting the mark for whatever reason. But looking back, I understand why they didn't, because I was getting guided to do stand up comedy. And then, and I was, after having read this book called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, which kind of like goes over or explains the relationship that you have with God, ultimately with yourself. Um, and it was saying that God is always talking to you. It's always trying to communicate with you when you have a question, when you have a need,
yeah.
it comes through. And so I was like, well, talk to me. So it was always like the universe was talking to me. And one day I was behind a red light, and I saw this huge, in LA, you know how it is. They have these like big billboards. It was in like neon green, and in big black font, it said, I don't even remember what it was for, but it said, "Are you afraid to be on your own?"
Mm,
And I was like, well, I'm living in LA. I'm by myself. I don't know what you're talking about. And when I see that sign, I'm like, it's talking to me. You may not notice it if we're sitting in
yeah.
the car together, but I noticed it. And then in one moment, it dawned on me. I was like, oh, you're asking, am I afraid to be on stage on my own?
Mm.
And at that moment, I knew that I had to step into stand up comedy, because that's comedy. Improv is comedic,
That's very admirable to be
right?
like, I have this thing that I'm knowing is a fear, and be like, the only way I'm going to get through it is to do it.
Right. It
That's
was
very
like
admirable.
questioning. It wasn't really saying you are. It was like,
Yeah.
so this is, and that's when I knew I had to do stand up comedy. And so I started, writing stuff, or I had been, just kind of dancing around some characters or whatever.
Yeah.
And I started to, you know, step into stand up comedy.
Pretty much ever since I've started taking divinity more seriously, I'm struggling to find this balance, which it might even be a waste of time to think about this, but there's like to me, there's like a balance of looking for something to speak to and realizing when something is, if that makes sense. Like, it's
Mhm.
like,
The knowing.
yeah, like, it's very easy to just be like, everything is manifest destiny, like everything. Like, it's
Right,
like,
right.
yeah, like this had to happen for this to happen and this. And it's so easy to get caught up in that
Sure.
and overthink like overthink it. And then you're
Mhm.
like taking away from your lifestyle, because you're like, this has to be this and this has to be. And then you're like, okay, like, hold on, let's take a deep breath here. Not everything can mean everything. And maybe everything does. Shit. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everything is literally something, you know?
Mhm.
But I don't think humans are supposed to grasp that. I don't think people are supposed to grasp that every single miniature action has an actual full butterfly effect, even if it is. Like, I think it's more healthy to be like, I'm just going to be a good person and do what I'm supposed to do. Not
Right,
like
right,
every single moment is like catastrophically calculated, you know?
right, right, right.
Um,
It gets in the way of
yeah,
creation when you analyze every moment. But the
yeah.
bigger points of life, I think, is definitely worth going back and understanding, so there's less judgment about the stuff that happened
Yeah.
for me or to me or through me. Um,
Yeah. I think it's important to constantly be looking to coach yourself and create self-awareness in that way,
mhm.
but it's not okay to not give yourself grace.
Sure.
So it's like, that's kind of what I feel like is one of my strengths, is being able to be like, okay, this is not where it needs to be yet. And this is
Mhm.
why. And this is what I need to do to fix that. But I'm still going to be like, bro, but like, you've only done this X amount. And like, I'll have like, not excuses, but like,
Mhm.
reasoning, you know what I mean? Like I give myself the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, okay, like this is still here, this is still here. At least you're working towards this though. At least you're still, you know what I mean? Versus like being completely down on myself of like that. Cause I used to be like that, especially with music. Because freestyling comes natural to me. I can off the top just like make rhythm and make things make sense. But when I try to tackle producing and like jumping into the studio and getting it down, it was so frustrating because it wasn't so seamless of a process. It wasn't so effortless. So I'd be like, bro, why isn't what's in here there? Like, why can't I communicate? Why can't I make this branch? I think that's the exact same thing in comedy. Like, it's like there's a difference between a joke that you could do as a one-liner that's like a pop joke, and then there's like that skill to like hypnotize the crowd. That's like a whole like special or like a whole like headlining thing. It's a different game. Like it's a different sport is really what it is.
Right. And I guess it comes with experience, because I don't know if you've seen Andrew Schultz.
That's my favorite
Special. Like the only thing he's talking about is him and his wife wanting a baby, and then by the end of 1 hour special, they had a baby.
I was there.
Oh,
like,
you went?
Yeah,
Oh.
in Chicago. I was there.
So I don't know how much I get very analytical in my mind about whatever I see, especially because I have like a director's eye on things, like even like Star Trek, the original ones, that they're telling the story through sound, lighting, and makeup, because they didn't have a lot of stuff. And I'm like, who else sees what I'm seeing? You know, very interesting. So with him, he tells the story for the first 20 minutes. We're done. And then at the end of 20 minutes, because I was clocking it and I watched this 3 times, he goes back and he opens up like one of those things that he said. And he starts like opening
compartmentalizing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then unraveling that same 20 minutes into details. And I was like, that's just.
Do you know what I think Andrew Schultz is the greatest today at, like of anybody? He is so good at misdirection. He's so good at making you feel like you know exactly what he's about to say and then pulling the rug out and going a completely left field way, even if it's obvious. Like he does it with low hanging fruit.
Right. Yeah. That's what comedy is, though.
Yeah.
Just to misdirect.
Yeah.
Misdirect.
One of my favorite sets he did was he did in New York, and he had just got back from Chicago. So this was like the first set he did after the show I was at.
Okay.
And he was like, man, I might have found a city that the people are more prideful of their city than here. He's like, it's Chicago. He goes, bro, they're so prideful of their city. They name their sports teams after their tragedies. He goes, there are soccer teams called the Fire. And then he's like, that'd be like if the New York football team was called the New York 911s. He goes, instead they call them the Jets.
Right. I think that's the end of it. You think 9/11 is the end of it, but then he takes it further with not the real punchline, but the punchline that tops the punchline.
So it pissed me off because when he did the special, he cut out. So he did the same set in New York and in Chicago, and he cut them together. So he was like, you could literally see it. He's on a different stage, like during in the special, right? And he cut out the part when he was shooting in Chicago of the way the crowd interrupted, because he didn't want the crowd work to be the special. The special was already lined up in a normal joke. But it was 20 times funnier with the crowd work. He literally he does this whole joke about how Americans are entitled because they invented the word uncircumcised. He's like, there's circumcised and there's dick. He goes, those are all the words you need. He goes, why do you have to make another word? And he goes on this whole tangent about how after they circumcise you, they sell the foreskins. He's like, you want to know who they sell them to? And someone in the front row yells at full volume, the Jews. And he's like, no, not the Jews. He's like, but could you imagine if they did, though? If like 5 Jews got together on Harlem Street and they were like, I got a pack of foreskins for 40% off. And I was crying. He goes, no, but the way the joke actually ends is like, he goes, if, they sell it to makeup companies to make foundation. He goes, so next time you get into an argument with your wife and she threatens to take intercourse off the table, look at her dead in the face and be like, my ball's going to be on your face regardless of what happens tonight. And like, it's a complete misdirect to like the first part. Sure. And when you do it, when he does it in the special, he edited that part out.
I didn't hear any of that.
And I was like, bro, like, because I was there for it and I got to witness it live and watch the written material converge with the crowd work. And that to me is beautiful to see that in real life. See a pro really intertwine the
Mm-hmm.
predisposition of like what was already worked on and written to
Mm-hmm.
like what was had to be said in the moment.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. And maybe in some ways, they were trying to keep it within the hour. I don't know. I
And
don't know
maybe
because I don't know if you have watched Joe Coy's
I've not.
specials. He's the one I started out with when I was watching specials. I'm paying attention because he does a lot of characters and he's really on point uh, with the comedy, misdirect, and all of that good stuff. And on his, I think, third special, which was done in LA during the pandemic, but after, while people could go to see
Yeah.
shows, there was one couple in the audience that he picked on because he said that he's on the, what is that breathing thing that you do when you can't sleep?
Sleep apnea.
Sleep apnea he
Yeah.
has. And then this, he was like, who, suffers from that? And this one guy was like, yeah, you almost die every night you go to sleep because you can't breathe properly. And so this guy raised his hand and he made, I don't know, 15 minutes of the show about their interaction and all. And I think it was probably written, as just whoever that picks up,
Yeah.
raises their hand, but it was just so beautifully done.
That
And
it sent it was authentic.
interacting,
Yeah.
with an audience member. So,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
but that was maybe probably like not planned with him, but planned that somebody's gonna raise their hand.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have
Because-
a favorite comic?
Definitely Joe Coy, Andrew Schultz.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed. There's just so many of them,
Yeah.
and
Schultz
yeah,
is a killer.
yeah,
So good.
yeah,
I love Andrew Schultz. I've seen his show live. I've seen Gillis
Really?
live. I've seen Dan Soder,
yeah.
and that's really all the big comics. I saw Theo Von. Yeah, but honestly, like I wasn't a big fan of Theo Von live. I think
Mhm.
Theo Von is way better as a podcaster comedian style than a stand-up comedy style.
Mm-hmm.
Because he only had one joke I liked the whole set, and it was an hour and 20 minutes or whatever. But there was one joke that was like amazing. He was like, "It's been a minute since 9/11." He's like, "We could low-key use another one." And he's like, "If you could pick any city in the world to deal with 9/11, what city do you think would deal with it the best?" He goes, "My pick is for New York." And he goes, "Think about it. If you win the Super Bowl, don't you want the quarterback with experience in the game?" He goes, "I'm giving New York City the ball. They've done it before. They've been there, done that." And I thought that shit was funny. I was like, that's a good joke. I was like, all right, I see that. I see that perspective.
Yeah,
But I don't know. To me, what makes Theo so funny is he thinks so differently than other people. And if there isn't a normal person to be next to him to react to the crazy shit he's saying,
right, right.
it loses its credibility. And
Mhm.
sometimes it seems like he's doing a character when he's really being himself.
Right.
And
That's the thing about
That's what makes him so funny is that he's that crazy. Like he's that unique, you know? And if he doesn't have a person that's like when he goes and does Joe Rogan's podcast,
Mhm.
it's perfect. Because Joe genuinely is dying laughing because he knows the dude's dead serious.
Mhm.
And he's like, bro, like, that's hilarious. It's just that he's that authentically him. But when he's on stage, people mistake that for like a character or like
Right,
he's
overreacting.
yeah. And it's like,
overperforming.
no, like, dude, that's just who he is. That's just what he is. And like sometimes you're expecting these like well thought out premises and this like well structured joke, but what makes him funny is that he's not that. It's not structure. It's
Right,
just
right,
authentic spaz that's just
Mhm.
funny and it's true stories and
right.
it's
Right,
I don't know. I think storytelling is imperative to having a level of like being able to be believable,
right. Mhm.
but also it kind of being an exaggeration. Like I feel like that's the balance that I'm kind of finding is
Yeah. I mean, I think the exaggeration, at least I find that with my own writing, that the exaggeration is the part where I bring in the punchline.
mhm.
Like I look at Andrew Schultz and the Hour special, and I just wonder exactly what happened from point A to point B, which is the beginning of the show to the end.
Yeah.
Beginning of his, performance to the end. Did everything that he say happen, or did he exaggerate,
Yeah.
the nurse coming in and talking like that, or did she say you're, eating your own,
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's just part of comedy that we bring in our own, because where am I going to get the
Yeah.
punchline?
So
I gotta bring it in.
how important do you think that curiosity is? Like, because I feel like the greats, the guys that are so consistently doing well, all have that in common. They make you think, did that happen? Was this a planned story? Was this kind of like a whole fictional thing that happened? Was that like, because I'm sure parts of the story that Schultz told in that show actually pretty much happened.
Yes,
But I'm sure there's
yes.
also parts of it where it's like, do you really think that the Italian nurse like made fun of him having slow swimmers? Like,
Right. I mean,
maybe.
going back to Hassan Minaj,
Okay.
which actually, like, now that I think about it, he's definitely one of those comics that, like, he tells the joke, the setup, and I'm constantly thinking, how are you gonna make this funny? Such drama, such tragedy in the stories that he tells. He had one hell of an upbringing, and so he's definitely good at misdirection,
Yeah.
and the punchlines are so fast and just coming at you like. And he got like scrutinized or judged for one story out of like, yes, like 4 or 5 specials.
Yeah.
Crazy. That he lied. He exaggerated what really happened. Um, and I'm like, and then he came back with his next special. He goes, listen, we're all men. Who's going to tell the truth? Like, nobody gets up and tells the whole truth.
Yeah.
Men are designed to lie, which I just wonder about that, because I think as comedians, something happened, and then we're like adding nuances to it, or the punchline and stuff. How
Yeah.
else are we? He's not the only one. He just got caught with that one story. But then what else are we, making up?
I think there's also two other sides to it. One thing is like, as people that are enjoyers of comedy,
Mhm.
sometimes we find things funny because it pertains to our life, and we mistake it being funny to just us thinking it's funny. Like sometimes something's not even like a joke. Like it's just you noticed something and thought it was funny. So you were just like, haha, like, and you try to make it a joke and it doesn't land because other people aren't you. They're not thinking like you.
Mhm.
And then the other side of it is like, there's understanding of something being funny because of the person that did that. And if they don't know the person you're talking about, they don't get why it's funny. Like if you have this like extremely old fashioned mom that's like very, very serious all the time, and then she makes like a wild, completely insensitive joke to somebody, that could be so funny to you. But when you tell the story, they're just like, who cares if this old woman said this dumb shit? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they aren't thinking from the same paradigm of like, your mom is crazy and this and that, and she's this way and that.
Mhm.
So the relatability goes so far down that people don't even care anymore about the punchline of the joke.
Right.
So I don't know. That's kind of something I've been struggling with because I feel like I'm a good storyteller. Like I'll tell a story and I'm like, bro, like this shit was so money. And then I'm like, oh, like no matter how good of a storyteller I am, they don't know that person.
Right. Yeah. And I guess then to keep it more like, I guess, in the honest category, like when you're telling a real story that actually happened about this person, how you describe that person, there's a lot of like comedy there, as we call it, like analogy. You liken it to this thing or that thing. Like when I got married on stage, when they married me off on stage, then I had this lesbian comic, this traveling lesbian comic, come up to me, and she offered to marry me. She basically proposed to me, and she's like, I went on this medication, I went nuts, and it's gonna wear off. We gotta hurry up and get married. Let's go to Vegas. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not the one that needs the green card. And she just kept going on and on. She's like, I got 2 days of sanity left. Let's go to Vegas. So that story, what is going through my mind, what actually happened, I keep repeating the same thing. I'm not the one that needs the green card. I'm not the one that needs it. And she's just going pitching herself, right? But how I came up with these like punchlines that I felt like I needed to how I react to her. Also, how I described her. was there's like some comedy. I say she's a 4x4. She was built like a tundra
Uh,
because she was very, like
do you know
heavy
that
set.
there's a consistent going rate for how much people will pay for that? Like
Mm.
to get married to get a green card?
Oh, I remember because for many years
Yeah.
I didn't have my papers,
Yeah.
and I
You
remember
were
people.
considering it? Or
Well, we never went in that direction because stuff happened with my family. My mom had to leave, and when she came back,
okay.
because of a law that Reagan passed at
Okay.
that time, she was able to get her green card quickly
Mm.
because they wanted everyone to pay taxes. Little did they know that we were paying taxes
Yeah.
at that time because we ended up like in a certain category. But anyways, we got our like papers, but I knew a lot of people who
Yeah.
were married.
So right now the going rate is like anywhere between 20 and 30,000. Like people pay 20, 30K for a random person to
Oh,
marry
yeah,
them,
sure. Yeah,
and they'll
that
get the green
sounds,
card.
if not more.
Yeah. Well, that's what I hear is like the going rate
I
for,
see.
yeah. I just thought that was fascinating because I'm like, hey, you did it for free on Kill Tony. Like
Yeah, that guy.
that dude's out here. He's flexing on all his friends back home. He's like,
sure.
yo, I'm built different. He's like, Tony Hinchcliffe saved me. I haven't watched the episode yet that came out this week for the
Most recent
WWE.
one?
Yeah, the
Oh,
WWE
no,
one.
that one. Oh, okay.
I want to watch it tonight, I think.
So it was shown last night at the Kill Tony.
Yeah, I never
watched.
left the bar. Like
Oh,
I was
okay.
I was
I see.
like, if this is the showing room, I was sitting at the
Were
tables.
you saving it so when you watch it with friends, or it just didn't work out?
I
You
am
go
not
in?
a big fan of watching anything in that crowd because I'm not retaining. I'm just like
Okay.
feel like I'm killing time.
So much coming
Yeah.
at you.
And I'm constantly being interrupted by people I know.
Sure,
Like
sure,
if I interact with 70 people every time I go there, 80 people come up to me the next time because either I meet 10 new people or they bring somebody that they want to meet me. So they're like,
Right,
oh,
right,
this
right.
is the podcast guy. He was asking questions about your podcast. Like, what's the, and then I'm like, oh, and I'm happy to talk to everybody.
Sure,
Like,
sure.
I'm fine. It's just, I don't want that to conflict with my attention of
Sure,
this.
sure, sure.
So I
You
just
wanna
don't
get
even
all of
bother
it.
to watch it. Like, what's the
Right.
point? And I used to watch the show religiously, but now I'm spending so much time watching my own show back. And then
Mhm.
I also moved here recently. So I have a lot of relationships that I'm keeping hold of at home. So I'm still talking to people on the phone a lot. And that's primarily my entertainment. Either I'm talking on the phone and driving and doing my job,
Mhm.
or I'm watching a video and I'm documenting timestamps for clips. So that way I can go home when I edit. It makes my life easier.
Mhm.
Rather than having to sit and watch 4 hours of content and edit 4 hours of content, I can do my daily obligations, get home, and spend 45 minutes getting 30 clips.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's
Makes
kind of
sense.
what my process is. But I don't know. I haven't watched as much Kill Tony, A, for that, and B, just because of the oversaturation. Like it's just there's so much I haven't watched, and there hasn't been a panel that I've been really intrigued by recently. Most of the panels have been kind of repetitive. Like Sam Tallent's been on like 9 of the last 20 episodes. Like I
Oh,
feel like
really?
he's just always there. Like I'm like, bro, like I don't have beef with Sam Talent, but it's
Right.
like I want to see a
Variety.
different perspective. I was actually curious about that. Obviously the show's not dying. Like the show's amazing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's dying, but like there's
Come to
definitely
Netflix,
there's
so-
definitely a level though of like lack of creativity because why break what's working? Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I'm curious to see what the adaptation is over time of like the new fields of people that he can get on because I feel like the majority of episodes now are repeat guests. And I'm still sure there's a bunch of people that would love to be on that haven't been on. So I want to see like what that next direction is because I feel like there's so many areas of groups of people you can get. The problem is a lot of these companies conflict with what Kill Tony stands for. Like the NBA and NA or the NBA and NFL is famous for being kind of like not letting their players speak like honestly.
Right.
So it's like if you're on Kill Tony, that's a 2-hour show where you have the ability to say something that goes against your contract and that could get you in trouble with your company.
Right.
So I
right, right.
wonder if that's stopping people from being on the show that want to be on the show or literally conflicting their contract. They're not allowed to do stuff like that.
I think both, and also maybe I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it hasn't occurred to Tony to go in that direction, but he has brought like the episode that I was on. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Theo Vaughn and Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
Like Jelly Roll is a musician,
Mm-hmm.
so that's something different.
Yeah.
So I
But
think
what contract would he violate though? Like, you know what I mean?
I don't think he
Yeah.
would, to my understanding. But also, I think for Kill Tony, it may be more fun to get musicians if he's going outside of comedians than football players or
I agree.
basketball, because they are really like a whole different category
Yeah.
of
And you get different
field.
types of reactions.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they would feel even comfortable saying
Yeah.
certain things, but musicians are maybe a little bit wilder or at the
True.
same level that comics are.
Yeah, that's a
So,
good point. I think that's just like I just like to see a difference, just change. Like, cause like
right.
right now I feel like it's a lot of comics just doing punch down or like giving like praise. You know, it's like the same two reactions. Either like that was absolute garbage. Why did you do that? Or like, dude, for how long you've been doing it, you just keep going. You're so good. And like
Right,
when you get like that level of like redundance from it,
Uh-huh.
it's kind of like, ugh, you know, it's like especially when you watch hours and hours and hours of the show
right,
in a
right,
month, you're just like, damn, there's a lot of the same with this. But it keeps it fresh when you get the regulars, because the regulars are killing every episode. You know, like Dedrick is so good.
Yeah.
I think part of it is I haven't really found any of the new golden ticket winners like as like really of my favorites recently.
I see.
Like some of the older ones, like I was like infatuated with some of the like stuff that they would do. Like I loved Casey Rocket. I was a really big fan. Obviously, Cam Patterson, Ari Maddie, even William Montgomery. Like, you know, like some of the newer. I really like Enrique Chacon. He's good, but
Yeah.
I like Colin Sludge. But there's a lot of comedians that are like newer that I just like haven't found a bit yet that really resonated with me. It's not even that
Right.
they're not funny. It's just
Right,
like
right.
I haven't gotten hooked like where I'm excited for what their next thing is gonna
Right,
be.
right. Yeah,
So-
yeah. I think some comics, more of people like appreciate their comedy. That's when you get those really hard punch, laughter. That means more people are on the same page about what you're saying,
Yeah.
or they get what you're saying. And then some other comics, they're very funny, but less people get what they're saying. So
Yeah.
maybe that's the, you know.
I feel like what we were talking about earlier with like balancing truth and exaggeration.
Mhm.
I feel like Cam Patterson is the greatest of all time at that. Like he will tell a story and you will feel like
True.
you were there. Like you
Mhm.
feel like that shit, every part of it absolutely happened.
Mhm.
And then you think about it afterwards and you're like,
Did that really happen?
there's no way. Like it's like maybe, but like nah. Like every part of my brain is like that did not happen. But my ears are deceiving me because his storytelling is so iconically funny that you're like, he's really tells like he's telling you what he was thinking in the moment. And you're like,
Right.
damn. Like, and I think that curiosity fuels comedy. I really do. I really feel like the fact that you could get hooked on a character of like, is this really who this person says they are versus did they break character? Like people love kayfabe. Why do you think the WWE is $1 billion organization? Because people love the balance of real to fake and arguing forever what is planned, what isn't. Look at like the actual action of wrestling and then like the buildup of like talking shit, right? Like it's like, do they really hate each other?
Right.
Is it like planned? He said this, like the Rock and John Cena. John Cena made fun of The Rock because he wrote his lines on his arm. And everyone was like, oh my God, The Rock actually got mad about that. And they actually have beef behind closed doors and this and that. And then that fueled the WrestleMania. Like it made it so much more like desirable to see, like, are they really going to fight in real life? Like, are they going to just have their staged match? And
Right.
so it's like, that's the same in Kill Tony. It's like, okay, this guy had a roast battle with this guy. They're talking shit. Do they like each other? And this is like the boys being boys. Is this like are they really trying to take each other? Like, you remember when they used to have Hans Kim's spot as a regular up for debate every week?
Oh, sure.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So it was like, there was that. It was like, oh shit, like, is he really going to lose his position right now? Like, is this guy really like walking him down? And it created this fascination and this curiosity of like, kayfabe. Is it real? Is this an empty threat? Like, is he going to be back on the show in 6 weeks after they lose the regular spot, you know?
Right.
Or is it like like this guy's stressing because his career is on the line? Because that changes the whole thing.
That's very true.
I mean, shit, I'd be scared if I was a regular on Kill Tony, which that's where you're getting booked every week. You're not doing other shows.
Yeah.
You're doing Kill Tony. And then they're like, yeah, this random that the crowd already loves is going to go against you right now. And you got to perform 1 minute right now. Boom. Like, dude, that's
That's a lot
scary.
of pressure.
Yeah, that's scary. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that gets nervous, but at the same time, I'm looking at the consequences of my actions in front of me. I'm like, bro,
Right.
shit.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't like the roast stuff. I would never do it.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, I think.
I
And
mean-
I think you mean Tony's roast.
Well,
stuff.
just like I would purposely never enter a roast battle. Like
Oh,
if I was
right,
on
right.
this show and like David Lucas started roasting me, I'm gonna say some shit back.
Sure.
But I'm not gonna like go out of my way to enter a roast battle.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
The direction you go, because I'm like, how much can you milk? You look like, like,
Yeah.
it's gonna wear out.
Do you have you ever done something like that?
I only did it once at an open mic, and I was trying to fit the roast about the guy, but it wasn't fitting properly. It could have fit to someone else because it was true, roasting.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not easy, at least for me. And I don't,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't like doing that.
There's two perspectives with me. One, I already don't have a filter. So the quicker that you get to an extreme, I feel like there's no limit. I could say anything, right? So
Sure.
sometimes I'm like, shit, should I have said that? Immediately, like after it comes out, even if it was funny, I'm like,
Right.
like I went a little far. And then the other side of it is like, I don't feel like, I just feel like you can only do it one time. Like if for music, right? If me and you have a rap battle, right? And I smoke the person I go against. Now, there's not only no more interest in y'all two going against each other, but you've just eliminated all the aura and all the interest in that artist. And I don't want to be responsible for that for no reason. How much better would it be for me to collaborate with that person? Both of us shine. And then the desire is we need to get those two in the room again later.
Right. But
So-
then where's the drama in that?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, it could be something could be impressive and still draw as much attention as drama.
Sure,
I feel
sure.
like.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But I'm just saying
You're
this
right.
is where the mindset
Yeah.
is that we want to do these hits on each other.
Yeah.
So that people go, ooh,
Well,
oh,
like,
like
you-
Jerry Springer.
well, there's still kind of drama in hip hop. Like look at like when Eminem and like Lil Wayne famously when they made a song, everyone was like, Lil Wayne was the first artist to not get obliterated by Eminem with a verse. Like, and they asked him about it. They were like, so like, he was like, I can humbly say that I expected that because I came in with my game plan and I expected it to work. He goes, so it was either going to be, I was going to be here with him and we're going to make a beautiful, amazing song, or I'm going to be better. Those are the options. And he goes, he came hot, I came hot, and it was right there. And we made a beautiful song and everybody loves it.
Yeah.
And there was still to this day, people will be like, oh, this verse is, this guy walked this guy down and this and that. And that's even on collaboration. But it at least makes the desire to be like, let's do it again. Versus if I have a roast battle with somebody, nobody wants to see round 2 if I win.
Right.
If everybody's like unanimously you won, now we can't collaborate anymore. There's like this end of,
Wall.
yeah, like it's like, so that's why I never want to do that shit because I'd rather build community and write a skit I could do with someone that I do skits 10 times with the same person in different ways than one time where I just punch down.
Mhm.
I don't really think that does anybody any good.
Right.
I mean, it could be funny in the moment,
Sure.
but I mean, bro,
There's an end to it.
yeah, I think I feel like comedians' relationships in general in this city are very similar to healthy male platonic relationships because they talk shit all the time. And for the most part, people don't get offended. For the most part, you could say the wildest thing ever. Like if you heard me and my best friend talk, you would think we hate each other.
Mhm.
But like we both take bullets for one another.
I see.
So it's like, I think there's this level of logic where it's, if you say so much negative things to each other's face that when you leave the room, there's only left good things to say.
Right.
And I think a lot of women have this problem of the opposite. They speak so highly of their friends to their face and they kind of act fake and kind of allow them to distort when they were in the wrong, that when they leave, all they have left to say is what they didn't say.
Right.
You know? So I feel like that's why there's this like narrative of like girls having trouble having good friends, because it's in the nature to kind of let things go in like mob mentality. I have 6 of my friends here. We all have to agree with what this girl said. And men are not like that. Men will just be like, bro, that's retarded. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't say that, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating just from my experience, but I think for the most part, that's a generalization that can be somewhat true.
I think my experiences have been, it's not just with women. When you tell someone, let's say, the truth category, well, I think your idea sucks. Let's just
Yeah.
say casually, you're attacking their ego.
Mm,
And if they're not ready to hear that, then me saying that, I'm just sabotaging our friendship by putting that information out there when you're not ready to make a change
it's
on
true.
that part of your life. And that's been generally my experience. Like, I've said things thinking that I'm trying to help you, but if you're not ready to make that change, then
Yeah.
you take it as an attack. And so, yeah. And for me, it hasn't been about male, female. Everyone pretty much has been in the same category. I don't want to hear this because they're not ready to make that change.
That's fair.
When they are, then they don't need me to tell them. They
Yeah.
just make the change.
I also feel like there's a level of one that happens based upon the reason you do what you're doing. Like if, for me, I make music because it's therapeutic, right? It's like I explain this to every girl I've ever dated because it comes up in conflict if I don't. When I say wild things in my music, it is so I don't act on those wild things. So it's like when you play a violent video game and you're killing people in a video game, you're not actually killing people in real life,
Right.
right? And the same idea in music. If I say something crazy that's like polarizing in a song that everybody sings along to and praises me for saying,
Right.
I don't live that lifestyle. And it's not that I'm lying or that's not that I wish I could do that. It's like a healthy block that I could paint my negativity onto. And then it's like, okay, now it's gone. Now all that's left for me to say is good things because I got rid of the sludge that was in my mind.
Right. And I think on the same point, then we go back to, like, there's a lot of things I say on stage that I don't act on, or I'm not really like that. Then we're like, well, when are you telling the truth and when are you not telling the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Type of thing. As to when are we fabricating a joke and when are we not fabricating a
Yeah.
joke? So I think there should be room for us to have freedom over whatever we want to say, as long as it's funny.
Yes.
Yeah,
And the other thing is just like at the end of the day, you're never going to appease everybody. And you're also never going to make sense to everybody. Like sometimes you're just going to be misconceptualized. Like they're going to think you meant something else by what you said. And you can't control that. All you can control is if somebody asks you to clear something up, how you respond to that. Like I've never been an overthinker of like, did I offend someone with this and that? Because I genuinely don't care. Like I really don't.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, like I don't care. Like it's like I know my intentions were good.
Yeah.
So who cares if someone else doesn't? If they have a problem, they can ask me.
Sure.
And I will explain it to them. But if you're just gonna be one of those people that are just self-pitied and angry and this and that and just talk shit and never find an answer, you're just looking for problems. You're not actually upset. You're just looking to be upset about something.
Sure.
So I don't care about those people because those people are never someone I would get a beer with.
Right.
That's the goal of this show. I want all the fans that I have that could be like people that I could have a drink with and it be normal, not like insane people that are like critiquing every little movement. Oh my God, look at Trevor today. He sat with his legs crossed in this episode. Like, bro, I don't care. I'm comfortable in my apartment. I'm comfortable with who I am. So I'm just going to continue being me. And it's gotten me this far. So why would that change?
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. And I think comedy is a beautiful opportunity to create the purest form of human expression. And that's why I love it. And I don't think there's more of that in any other discipline.
Yeah, I'm such a goofy person that there is no other alternative for me, and I think as I bring more of my goofiness into my act, that's where my voice is. The voice is not just about your perspective; it's about your delivery as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely a path that is not for everyone, but those of us who choose it and we recognize that it is, it's definitely a big part of our character as well.
Yeah. What would
Yeah.
you say your biggest goal in comedy is?
I've written a lot of half hours that I would love to get to Netflix. And with the comedy itself, um, I would love to have my own Netflix special.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Well, when that happens,
Yeah.
I have a network of people that can help you do the music.
Sounds great.
Because that's like the biggest goal I have with this show is to create a bridge between my musical connections and my comedic or my comic connections.
Okay.
So overall, I want to be like, hey, I have singers that can make a song specifically about something that you want to be in your song. Not just like, hey, let's get you the rights to this person's song or this or that. Like you can literally be like, hey, I have a friend that has a studio right here and he can sing. You want him to write about something? I will write him a song for you of like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's really what my goal is. Also, I think there's this like artistic integrity that musicians and comedians share, which is like hypnotizing a crowd and being able to conversate and converse about the differences and similarities of that. I think is beneficial to both crafts.
Right. That's right. Yeah. I never thought about it, but I think
Yeah.
definitely true.
Being able to have different outlook on similar things is so important to your perspective. So many times I even hear musicians use a wavelength of thought to change the depiction of way the project is made. And it really fascinates me because I never would have thought to do it like that. And then it unlocks things in my head that I never even like considered as a possibility.
Right.
Like most recently, I heard this guy, I don't remember even know who the rapper was that did it, but he referenced years that went by as how many Wednesdays passed.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I was like, bro, that's insane. Like you could be like, instead of 2 weeks ago, I spent 2 Saturdays in the same motion. Or like, you know what I mean? And like, and I'm like, damn, like I never would consider that. And I just think that's so interesting. And that happens in comedy so much. Like there's a lane of which that someone does a character or an infliction or a voice change here and there where I'm like, damn, I never even would have like thought about that.
Or the perspective of the character.
Yeah.
That you don't think about. And I think oftentimes people like have told me that like my comedy, I feel like whatever your punchline is and you think, oh, this is funny, I always come in from a whole different angle and I see things a little bit differently. So the punchline that I have is something that you never thought of looking at it this way.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So
yeah, that's beautiful. I think I do think that my favorite thing about your style in comedy is what we were talking about, authenticity. Like you, like, even if you play characters, like you're saying, it's a projection and an exaggeration of the character you already are. Not like this exaggerated version of something you maybe want to be portrayed as or this or that. Right. To me, it doesn't, from the outside looking in, maybe you do more than I think, but you don't really seem like you like are thinking that hard about that, like about like how you're portrayed. It's more just like if it's funny and if it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's funny or not. It's like the big.
Yeah. A lot of people have that problem though. A lot of people have that problem of like, oh, I don't know how people are going to think about this or that and like take this the wrong, like, you know, like.
Well, to be honest with you, actually, I do have that because I've always suffered from, oh, I want to be liked. I want to be liked.
Yeah.
It's not even so much that I want to be liked. It's like, why would I want to piss someone off or make them upset if I don't have to? Is there another way to go in if I can make more people happy?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I feel like the best way to describe me in one word is polarizing. Because I'm either extremely loved or extremely hated. And it's like, I don't see that changing. Because I'm a guy that, like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm the guy that loves making observations. And it's not my fault if the observation hurts your feelings.
Right.
Sometimes I just point something out. And even if I don't even think that way, like I'm just like, y'all ever thought about this like this? And then they're like, oh, shit, maybe I haven't. But the people hate change so much that they don't even want to admit that that line of thinking has merit. They just want to be like, fuck you, dude. Like, you said this and it hurt my feelings. And I'm like, bro, I didn't even tell you that's my opinion. I was just asking you to think about it in this way.
Right.
And if you're willing to think that way with me and you converse in the opposite and give an opposing view, I will give you that same respect. But if you are so close-minded to the point where you just hear a thought process that conflicts with yours and you deny it or demonize it, it's hard to keep a respect for you. It's hard for me to be like, yeah, everything you say now, I'm going to give your thought process merit and I'm going to give your thought process the time of day. If you didn't even give me a second to explain myself, you already wrote me off based on one joke I made or one sentence that came out of my mouth.
Right.
One bit is not who a person is.
Right. That's very true. Yeah.
The internet has a funny way of making everybody think that that's the case.
Sure. And then taking things out of perspective.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't see the setup. You didn't hear the setup. You didn't hear the next punchline. This is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I truly believe that every single person on God's green earth could get destroyed by the internet if we had your entire life on film. You know, everybody. Not one person wouldn't get got, right? So why is it that us as humans, we have no leeway of like benefit of the doubt at all when it comes to famous people? We think about them like they're just like it's almost like false prophets. Like it's like you put them on this pedestal of like greatness and you're like, oh, like I can't believe that they yelled at this paparazzi and this. I'm like, bro, if you were taking your kids to the park and these fucking idiots were abrasively invading your children's personal space, how would you interact with that? You know, like, dude, some people are tired. Like, you know, like you don't know what the story is. All you saw was the boiling point. You didn't see the 50 things that led to it. And like, even when people say crazy stuff, I'm like, I see why they'd think this way.
Right.
And if you make a point on someone that's very demonized by the public, you are filtered into that category instead of just a free thinker.
Right.
Every single bad person in the world had a point in time where they thought they were good.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I think everyone thinks that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah. And even if they have that moral compass of maybe I'm doing something wrong, I'm going to do it anyway, the fact that they thought about it, they aren't naturally like trying to do evil most of the time. Most people anyway. Obviously there's outliers, but for the most part, people aren't knowingly trying to do something horrible that affects people horribly. They're just like,
except maybe the leaders in Iran, the Islamic leaders in Iran.
Yeah. I mean,
they're doing everything consciously.
That's leaders of any country though. And people like to pretend that every country that's not currently publicly demonized is innocent when a country has a glaring problem.
Yeah.
And the truth is, most countries have to do evil things to keep a country a country.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, how the fuck do you think freedom happened in any country? By murder, like literally war, right? So it's like at the end of the day, you're taking a country from another entity. What do you think's going to happen? Eventually, people are going to be like, I'm good. I don't want that to happen. So war is a thing, you know, and no matter how much the public tries to make it so that's like a normalized, socially acceptable thing, that alone is insanity. To even think that war is possible in today's day is insane.
Right.
And then let alone the control aspect of it. People have been billionaires and millionaires for so many years that they don't even understand middle class. They don't even understand lower class. They don't even think like that. So they're in this wave of we're trying to manipulate this class of individuals to act in this way or that way. Don't you think those people are automatically going to be misguided because they're not those people? Regardless of if it's a good or a bad idea, they're automatically going to have a misguided interpretation of what should and shouldn't be done because they've never lived that life.
Right. I think, but if I may, the people of Iran were guided properly for a very long time. So when they're misguided for the last 47 years, we recognize that we're misguided,
Yeah.
and a lot of Iranians that came out within the 7 years did talk about how they were misguided, and in school they were forced to say or chant "Death to America" when they didn't even know what that meant,
Yeah.
where America was, or whatever. They're saying just say these words,
Hmm.
and then once they come out, they're like, "There's nothing wrong with America. People are good here. They don't hate us." So there's a little bit of like misguidedness
Yeah.
when you don't know any better. You're told this is who you need to be.
Mm.
But I think with people of Iran, we knew who we were, and so we recognize the evil within
Yeah.
the system, and when they come out, they recognize it even more.
Do you think that there's a strange balance or lack thereof of like a government that the people hate versus like being patriotic for your country? So it's like, you know what I mean? Like,
No, because this what is happening in Iran goes way beyond like people of Iran wanting to be patriotic. It's not
yeah.
about Iran, it's about human rights.
Yeah.
The things that this government is doing has nothing to do with uh, Islam at its
Yeah.
best or at its worst. It's just it's like if people just walk out and say we want freedom, they just are like running people over and shooting them in the head.
Yeah.
When they go to the hospitals, they would come into the hospitals and shoot everyone.
Well,
That's not Islam.
yeah.
That's
Because I guess the reason I asked you that is like here specifically, people take a lot of this country for granted, right? So it's
Absolutely.
like there's the opposite problem. People
Yes,
have so
they
much
don't
hatred.
know.
People have so
Yeah.
much hatred towards things that they disagree with in our government
Sure.
that they forget to be patriots, right?
Right.
Or vice versa,
Sure.
right? People are so patriotic that they're like, who
forget.
gives a shit if this happened and this happened
Right.
because we're America,
Sure.
you know? So it's
Yes.
like, so I was just curious if there was any of that on the other side.
Right. And it's hard to understand if you've never experienced that as a man or as a woman, but
Yeah.
especially as a woman, because Iran used to be a very advanced, very westernized country up until 78. And then all of a sudden the rug is pulled from, Shah
Yeah.
and the people. And then we went back to, the ice ages.
Damn.
It's very unfortunate what is happening. But people of Iran no longer can put up with all that stuff. And there's this idea of confusion about U.S. and President Trump interfering, but all that interference is going towards the regime, not Iranian people. And that's something that needs to be understood. Like,
Yeah, I thought what you said on Kill Tony was beautiful.
Hmm.
Like when they asked you about it and they kind of put you on the spot a little bit. I thought,
I appreciated it
yeah.
because it needed to be said. There's like various things coming through, like on my Instagram page, but it's worth it to still be able to say that.
So I want to get your outlook on this. There was a study that came out recently,
Mhm.
from Yale, that they found that 77% of all the things you swipe on your algorithm, the comment sections, are AI generated, and they are made to be the opposing of what they consider your view to be. So if you're a liberal, it'll be a very conservative, extremist view. And if you're a Republican, it'll be a very extremist, liberal view.
Mm.
And the goal is to create separation between the two parties and
Sure.
hatred against
Yes,
each other,
yes.
right? So I'm curious to know, do you think that that's where the primary source of misinformation kind of comes from? Like, it's like everybody has this lack of understanding of where people are really at because they have this thought process that everybody is an extremist that's on opposing sides.
I think it's probably a mixture because I'm like so naive thinking that everything is the truth.
Yeah.
Or like if someone reacts a certain way, it's them. So what you're telling me, I'm like, oh, well, maybe there's truth to that it's, AI generated.
Yeah.
Because I see people like attacking, and then the same people start following me or say, hey, I appreciate this. And I'm like, I'm not that stupid.
Yeah.
I may be naive, but I'm not that naive, not understanding why things are like shifting
Yeah.
because there's only a few handful of people that are attacking me, but then they're like shifting, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a balance to that, but in terms of the algorithm, like just when you're doom scrolling, I think it's just human nature just to digest information. So like even if you're impartial and even if you're the most smart person in the world, sometimes you mistakenly read something and consider it fact. Like your brain computes it as something that happened.
Right.
So no, there's no way to get away from it. And so for me, I try really hard just to take everything on the internet as comedy, kind of, like unless I literally saw some crazy shit that I know like is obvious, most of the time I'm just like laughing. Like most of the time I'm just like, bro, that's funny, and like even reactions, I'm like, this is funny. And also I like to conspiracize that the things that I really disagree with that I see, that no way a real person said that. Like maybe, but most of the time.
Right.
Like I like to say, bro, I've done this show. This is, I think, my 17th episode, something like that. I've not met anybody yet that's an extremist. Most of the time, people are like pretty close to the middle. If they're a little left of center, right of center, whatever. But they're not like, oh my God, wildin'. And the world would make you believe that we're in the most crazy, extreme time lapse in history. So it makes you think, like, it's like, how crazy was the misinformation before the internet, and is it worse or better now? Because being uninformed might be better than being misinformed.
I guess that kind of equals to this attorney that I worked with, and he was defending the idea that it's better to put an innocent person in jail wrongfully, like for us to not be sure, but putting an innocent person in jail rather than having a guilty person roam free. And I'm not sure if one is better than the other. Why not do our job properly? And
I don't agree for jail, but I do agree for the death penalty. Like you'd much rather, like on the opposite side, I'd much rather a innocent person go to jail before getting the death penalty, right? Then
but if that mistake is being made, then where are we at?
How do you fix it?
How can you defend the law, or when it's all
topsy-turvy? How do you fix it?
Why not do our jobs right? Because so many guilty people go free because they can buy the system.
It's true.
So there is, like, why not just do our job and not be bought?
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting world.
I think that's why it's like, to me, it's like the next stage as far as Iran's freedom and for humanity's sake is so important for Reza Pahlavi, which is our exiled prince, to be interviewed properly, like by someone like Joe Rogan, because he has so much presence, right? And even more important than that is for President Trump to have a meeting with Reza Pahlavi so that everyone, or at least more people, can be on the same page about what's really going on. Because Reza Pahlavi has a very specific plan of action as far as what needs to be done. So when everyone is on the same page, they can say, we can do this, we can't do this.
It's also so weird because we've come to a point in society where politics are so socially acceptable to be vague that all politics is now is just argument of interpretation.
Right.
That's literally why, it.
Yeah. Have them, in the same room. So
who writes the questions though? Like you need somebody that like.
Well, they would come in with an agenda. I would think that Prince Pahlavi would come in with an agenda. This is what needs to be done. This is what people of Iran need, because they keep conveying to me what they need. And then what President Trump can do, what he's already doing. How does that fit?
I'd almost want like a brain rot content creator to make that decisions of like what's spoken about. Like I want to see authenticity. Like I want to see like honesty, like I don't want to see calculated this, that talked about before. Like I want to see like a actual conversation in the flesh. I almost want it to be like they don't even know they're being interviewed. Like it's like they're talking and it's just like on camera. Like, like I feel like that'd be more valuable than like a sit down interview, because you could fake an hour. You could fake 45 minutes. You can't.
And I think with these two, especially, not really even especially, but with President Trump, one thing that I will give him is the authenticity. He has always said things exactly how he felt. A lot of times, people feel that he shouldn't have said this. He shouldn't. But he always comes in with authenticity, and a lot of times it feels like a knife going on because
Yeah.
he's just so real because he doesn't care. Like,
Schultz's guy has a bit about that. Singh,
Mhm.
what's his first name? I can't remember, but he has a whole bit about. He's like, you gotta let white people have a voice. They're like, what does white people not get? He's like, I'll give you one thing, an opinion. He goes, opinions are liberating. He goes, I get paid for mine. He goes, because if you don't give an opinion, they bottle it up and they start to get real weird and dark. And he goes, every 4 years, those people walk into a voting booth and they find a guy that says everything. And he goes, and that's my guy.
Mhm.
And that's right. He's
Yeah.
absolutely positively correct about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I also think there's something to be respected about the fact that Trump wasn't a politician. I think that's what won a lot of people.
He doesn't know how to be a politician other than be real.
Yeah.
And the other thing about Prince Pahlavi is
Or
that
at least real.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's aiming to be a transitional leader. Like he's not aiming to say the right things to get to people. People are choosing him
Yeah.
because they know what his father was about. So the idea is he is coming in as real. President Trump
Yeah.
is coming in as real. So the only place we can go is a real solution.
I do truthfully believe a lot of American politics is for show. Like, I think there's obviously some politics to it, but I
Yeah.
think like a lot of it is like, like the president needs to be the mouthpiece that the people can hate for America's like mistakes, basically. Right. And like, you kind of need that in a country like this. And I think that's kind of conspiracy theory. That's kind of what I think in general. Like, I think there's a level of that, but simultaneously, it's always baffled me that in history, Trump was always a Democrat, and he was well
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
a Democrat, and he was well respected by all the Democrats. Like, he was hosting dinners at his buildings with all these people, and they were at birthday parties. There's photographic evidence of all these
Sure.
people spending time and partying and this and that. Same thing with the black community. There was always this narrative Trump is a racist, but he was heavily indulged in like the most famous black people's like times, right? And like
Right.
he's been involved with the UFC, he's been involved with boxing, he was involved with WWE. He's in all these different rooms and all these different businesses, and he was so beloved for so long that it's so fascinating to see the direct switch the second he ran for president. And it was before any of the crazy shit really came out. The way that the media attacked Trump, and I'm not even saying they were right or wrong to do it, but I'm saying the way and the level of which it was done always arose red flags to me. Like, I was like, he can't be. And if everybody here that I would talk to believes that the government is the enemy, right? The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So if I'm like, my enemy thinks this guy would be bad, but for some reason, the college, like the congressional college, voted him in. So isn't that conflicting? If the whole media that's supposedly running the country hates a guy, but then that same media that runs the country votes the guy into office,
Right.
it's like, it's super conflicting. So it's like, and also he ran on the Republican tag. That's even crazier. He was a documented Democrat for 40 years.
Right.
And then he's a Republican all of a sudden because he would rather go against Hillary for office than in primaries.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm just like, that's
I
kind
mean,
of,
there's definitely a lot of questions that are in limbo. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really don't think we can get to the bottom of like any of it.
yeah, no way.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I'm curious as to how much of it is predisposition and how much of it is actual like political work. Like, how much of it is actual polling and like actually changing people's opinion, and how much of it is like, yeah, this guy was going to win regardless of anything. Like, we kind of already knew.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
at some point, if there is a real oligarchy that's really pulling the strings, where there's really somebody that's actually masterminding this whole country, they're going to make a decision at some point of what would go wrong if that person was in charge.
Right.
And they're weighing their risk. So like, it's even possible. Like, I always use this as an example. I've never met anybody that was a Joe Biden supporter ever. Like, I've met people that are like, Democrats, so they voted Democrat. But I'm
or
saying,
they're against
or they hate Trump.
They
But I've
voted
never
for
met one person that like bleeds for Joe Biden. They're like,
right, right, right.
so with that said, he has the most in history. He got the most votes of any president ever. How? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is the argument going to be that Trump was so hated when he won twice, but he was so hated that for that 4 years
Right, right.
that the most people ever showed up to vote against him? That just doesn't logically seem possible.
Right, right, right.
So that's when the conspiracy theories start, you know?
Sure, sure. And this is weird, and I can't prove it, and I didn't get this download myself. But in the spiritual like world that people who study spirituality and whatnot, do past lives, and all of that good stuff. Um, the understanding is that Trump is actually an ascended master,
Mm,
and that he is here to shake things up. Which the first 4 years he did a lot of shaking up, but a lot of good stuff came through. And he is the chosen one from the other side or whatever. Again, I can't prove any of this, but when I hear stuff like that, it makes a lot of sense
yeah.
because right now, the faith of Iranian people, a whole nation, and once Iran is freed, it's just going to affect all of the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's not just about Iran. So for him to be playing that role, and for like all of the things I heard about him, I'm like, okay, this is starting to make sense to me. Again, I can't really prove it to anyone.
So I want to open this bubble into a different paradigm for a second. I'm curious. You've lived a lot more life than I have. So you've seen politics change in history. I think we're heading in a direction where as history progresses more, we'll get farther and farther away from the general politician being publicly admired because people, with the like Epstein list, people are already like skeptical, right? And the farther and farther down the line that gets, the more people might be like, I don't know, maybe a social media influencer ends up running for office, maybe an athlete, maybe a musician, like who knows? And I don't think it's that crazy to say that someone that can eclipse that much love from a society would be better off than, to put it in the least mild way possible, a dude that's eating kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, so I'm wondering, do you think that, was there like a level of that you could kind of see with politics changing where you saw, Kennedy get into office? You saw Trump be a completely polarizing figure to an Obama, to a Joe Biden, right?
It's hard to say because I'm not an expert like in politics and stuff, but I do see the world changing.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see that right now, but it is definitely changing for the better because purely because the systems are breaking down.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with President Trump. The systems breaking down, and I appreciate that because a lot of things are not working, but you put up with it because you don't know any better.
Yeah.
Or you don't know how to break it open. And his pure energy just comes through and breaks a lot of things that needed to be broken down. So I think we're going in a good direction, but it's hard to see the light yet. But we will.
I think that the biggest gripe that I have with Trump is because of the way he speaks without thinking sometimes, he creates more conflict than unity at times. And because of that, it's a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing because if everybody disagrees about everything, nobody has enough agreements for there to be a civil war. Nobody is like, we're all on this side, you're all on this side. There's 18 sides. I think that's done by design. I think it's purposeful that they bring up race as much as they do. I think it's purposeful they bring up gender as much as they do. I think it's purposeful that they bring up politics as much as they do. Because most of these people aren't even filtered by those things. Most of your opinions aren't because you're a woman. Most of your opinions aren't because you're Iranian. Most of your opinions aren't because you're a Democrat or Republican. It's just the way you see the world and your experiences that form your opinions.
Right.
And the more you can diversify the reason someone thinks by different metrics, the harder it is for people to be on one side or the other.
Right. I think the thing, and this is just my personal opinion, what I observe, with Trump, yeah, he definitely does a filter. He doesn't have a filter
Yeah.
in his mouth, and the good and the bad about him, like the two sides of it, is that initially he came through and he didn't have a filter. He still doesn't have a filter, but just a little bit more. He thinks
He
about what
tries.
he
Yeah,
says.
sometimes.
But now we see that what is going on in his head is actually he's trying to help.
At least it's refreshing because it
Right.
seems authentic. Even if it's
Ye-
not, at least it
Right.
seems
I
like it
think
is.
it's authentic. It's just that we're not used to that much authenticity.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely think that he's calculated though. So I feel like sometimes there's a pure calculated thing that he says.
Because he knows which direction he's
Yeah.
going. I think the calculation comes from,
Yeah.
well, I know that I want to turn you into a whatever kind of religion.
Yeah.
So I'm authentic and yet I have an agenda type of thing. I think
Yeah.
maybe that's
I,
like,
I just feel like he understands things more than people give him credit for. Like I think there's a lot of
Yes.
times where he's like, I know exactly how this is going to sound, but I'm going to say it anyway because it needs
yeah,
to be said.
Exactly.
And then
exactly.
sometimes I think he just goes on those wild rants where he loses it. And he's like, I'm not even really sure where I was going anymore. And now I'm just trying
He's
to
just
make up. I'm
expanding
just,
his brain.
I'm
It's
making
like-
up for the fact that I'm talking, but not really knowing what direction. So,
Right,
and same
right.
thing when he tweets, I genuinely think he's taking a shit sometimes. And he's just like, shit, I'm gonna send it. And then later his publicist or whoever is like, bro, why did you post that?
Right.
And he's like, shit, free will. Like, you know,
yeah,
like,
that was what was going on
yeah,
at that moment.
yeah, like I was thinking it, so I just put it into the void. And it's like, bro, if you're genuinely taking everything as gospel as what he's saying on Twitter, like, you're not all there. Like, let's be
Right,
honest.
right,
Like, he's no different than any of us. Sometimes we post something that's funny,
Right,
and
right,
we just
right,
say
right,
it. Is it a good thing that the president is doing that? That's a
Right,
whole nother
right.
debate.
Sure.
But
sure.
I'm saying
Exactly.
as a human to human thing, you got to give the benefit of the doubt. You can
Sure.
make whatever argument you want to say a president shouldn't act like that or this or that, whatever.
Yeah, that's the tradition that it was, and I
Yeah.
think he's breaking all the
But
traditions.
as a human, you have to be able to understand, like, bro, he's living in the most stressful job you could possibly have.
Sure.
Let the dude have an outlet. Like, let the dude say
Right,
something.
right.
It's not like he's married. It's not like he has kids, but like they don't live with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like his life is the country every day. And
I
he's
think, yeah, he is stepping away from the tradition and from the PC way
Yeah.
that we think a person should behave, and he's just being his own self while he's being the president. So there is that, double-sided.
Do you know the only thing about politics that genuinely scares me?
Mm.
That they can turn on and off PC anytime they
And
want.
it's okay. Sure.
They could turn it on and off. So it's like you could live in a time where, yeah, you have freedom of speech temporarily, and you have a president that dictates freedom of speech and say whatever you want, whenever you want, and you're not going to get canceled for your opinion. But then 4 years later, you could have a totalitarian president that's whole thought process is censorship.
Right.
And then you could have videos like my show where they could go back and clip things and take out of context things that I say and be like, oh, you can't say this on here. And I could get my videos taken down. I could get demonetized. I could get blacklisted. I could get blackballed and hated. Right. So that's what's terrifying for me because I'm a guy that wants to speak. And that should terrify every comic, every musician that they can use your history when it was socially acceptable to do something and then inverse it. Imagine if they did that with like alcohol consumption. If they were like, oh, anybody that's ever drank illegal now, and they had a way to like determine all the people that have had X amount of drinks and bro, it's the same thing. It's like if you were allowed to fully joke about something for 8 years and then one day they're just like, nope, not anymore. You're going to jail.
Right.
That's insane. And they don't undo it, in the inverse.
Yeah, but with my mind, I don't want to think about things that could potentially, because we're living in a potentiality kind of reality anyway. So why entertain that thought process?
I mean, I don't stop, but it definitely crosses my mind sometimes.
Sure.
And especially when I deal with industry people and you see how those people think and you're like, oh, like I see what it is. And I see why I would never sign a contract.
Right.
Because I'm like,
you could use this against me.
Yeah. And they're like I've literally had people wanting to be on the show and they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about this or that. Or like people like don't want people to know they're in a relationship or like whatever. And like, I'm like, I get it. Like, I understand. But for me, I feel like the whole cool thing I have as an opportunity here is to be me and make that the character people like, not
Yeah.
this distorted reality that you think people are gonna like, you know.
Right.
And overall, that just leads you nowhere.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
truly think that.
I mean, we do the best we can to be authentic, and if you have it, and then my authenticity changes because my opinion changes.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes you got to walk it back.
yeah, but I think a lot of people, we are, are living in that, uh, I guess that persona, and they think they're being authentic, but you almost have to live in a persona in order to, or then you'll be President Trump.
Yeah.
You'll just say
Wild.
whatever,
Yeah.
And I would love it if everyone was as real as he is,
Yeah.
but we can't because it's not
Or at
acceptable.
least as blunt.
Yeah, but it's not acceptable.
Because I don't know. I used to be a big Trump guy,
Mhm.
but it's not that I hate him, but I just have so much questions of involvement of negative things. Like I'm like,
Sure.
what did he know? What didn't he know? What could he have stopped and didn't? What is his family being threatened with? This, that, and the third. Like, because there's so many conspiracy theories where people are thinking it's cut and dry. Oh, this person's bought and paid for because they took money. And I'm like, yeah, but how do you know they didn't get a FaceTime call with their freaking daughter with a sniper scope on her head?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, how the fuck would you know? How? Like, genuinely. So, like, I think the best example of that is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, it was printing money. He literally had the biggest show on the internet. And then he signed the Spotify deal. So everybody's like, oh, he's bought and paid for. But why would a multimillionaire that can make millions every time they do anything take money to shut up? I don't think he's shutting up because of money. I think if anything, he would shut up because of threats or like some type of control in some way of what he's capable of doing.
Right.
You know, I think that's way more likely.
Yeah, but also I think at the end of the day, we're not really going to know. Even
Yeah.
if you sat down with him in a private room and said, hey, what's going on? Do you think he would, because if he is being threatened, then.
Yeah. Even if you don't know, though, I'm just saying, like, to have the perspective of just end all be all, this person's this way, so fuck them.
Right. Yeah,
like,
you can't do that.
That doesn't make sense. And so many people operate that way. They're like, oh, like, the president is a bad person because they had this opinion or this. I'm like, you genuinely don't know what it's like. Like, we've never lived that life. Like, you don't know. Like, lobbyism seems cut and dry, but it could be a whole facet of our imaginations that we can't even
there's
grasp.
so much that you don't know about the person or their personal life or just everything that is coming at them.
I agree.
And that's about for everybody, not just him.
I thought we had an absolutely phenomenal theme of authenticity in this episode. But
Sure.
I do want to close the show up. I have one last question for you. I want to know, when it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered as a comic?
And this is a recent thing that if I've been able to in any sort of way help Iran and Iranian people's freedom, and I've never been an activist, and I don't consider myself to be an activist, but if there is anything that I'm able to do to be remembered as that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And can you let the people know where they can find you?
I'm sure. My Instagram page is my first name and my last name. So it's Shari, Shari, and my last name is Vasegi, V as Victor, Assegi.
And I'll put the link as well in the description.
Thanks.
Also, when you get up out of here, if you could text me of the episodes of Kill Tony you were on, so I can put them. That would be awesome too.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
This was fun. Thank you.